I pirate all my software and it's become a normal part of daily routine. As a graphic designer, shit is expensive. I know there are alternatives to Photoshop and Illustrator, but I'm so balls deep in this pirating I don't bother looking for other things. I've always said when my salary and finances start looking better I would buy them, but right now I pirate everything. I watch pirated movies on the Android box, I download music on those converting sites, my Windows was a free upgrade, I got my Sims 4 is buggy and glitchy, but it's fun either way. I've even had other graphic students come to me to get the programs for them. I give them installed versions and portable versions in case shit hits the fan. My computer is probably laced with so many viruses it's crazy how it hasn't crashed yet. I talked behind my friend's back and in turn started drama in my elementary school. I still regret it to this day. So in elementary school I was considered a popular kid. Apparently I was nice, but I still regret starting drama. There was this one kid that was kinda quiet, but our friendship grew fast, and soon we were having play dates on a regular basis. Then one kid spilled the beans on all his bad secrets, but it was stuff like picking his boogers. I then told the popular group his secrets and then he was shunned by the students of my grade. But even then we were still friends, and he thought someone else starting picking on him and then everyone joined in, so he would only come to me, even though I was the one who shunned him. From then on I've been keeping this a secret, but I have to say it someday, so I'm doing it now. I stole over $5,000 from my first job and became a manager. When I was 18, I worked at a local coffee shop that was a part of a very large chain. The owner of the coffee shop owned 20 in several states across the US and I was making minimum wage, so I did not feel very bad about what I did. It was super simple. I worked night shifts and frequently worked alone. After working there for about a month I basically had the prices down in my head. Customers almost never wanted receipts, so whenever someone gave me exact change I would just pocket the money. It was a coffee shop, so I never made huge money, but I'd leave with anywhere between $10 to $25 most days. I paid for dates, presents and college textbooks off the money I was stealing from this coffee shop. Eventually, the owner called me and promoted me to the manager of the place. I got a better paying job, a retail place, so I eventually left, but I never told anyone about this. I caused my grandfather to have a heart attack and told nobody. This was in 2003. I was over at his home to help clean up and cook him meals because he had arthritis and could only do so much by himself. I used to pop round twice a week and my sister would go the other 5. On one of my days I was vacuuming while he was in the other room. He hated the sound of the vacuum. I felt like teasing him a bit and swung the door open into his room suddenly and pointed the vacuum end towards him. The shock had caused him to have a heart attack. I didn't know what to do. I didn't care for the man much, and in my head at the time I was almost relieved to see him lying back on his chair seemingly lifeless. But then I thought about how I had just killed him and felt intense shame. I had only been there for about an hour, so I decided to leave the home and phoned my sister to say I couldn't make it to grandfather's house today because of work. Luckily she was free that day and she found him. I was almost sure he was dead and that I had killed him, but miraculously he survived. My family had thought it was just a random heart attack, and he never said anything about me or that day. I'm not sure whether he just didn't remember or he purposely said nothing. A few months before he died in 2014, 77, I told him that I caused his heart attack a decade prior, but he said nothing. In almost all of my nightmares I see him sitting in that chair. I can never forget this no matter what I do. I stole pre-released software and shared it with the world. The problem came about when I legally changed my name after a divorce. I purchased some music software years ago that had over 50 plugins worth thousands of dollars in my account. I simply asked them to change my name on the account. I'll provide whatever they needed. I didn't want to use the software and people ask whose name is that and I'd have to constantly explain my entire life. They refused to do so and flagged my account for deletion. So I downloaded their beta software, which I was a member of, handed it to a programmer and he released it to download via torrent and hosting sites. They were devastated that someone could do such a thing in their support forums, just like how I was when I lost all my money with them. In elementary school, I used to steal stuff from the classrooms, and one time, I shifted the blame to someone else. In elementary school they had bins in the lower grade classrooms, and every once in a while going to the restroom, I would stop by one of these classes and steal chocolates. I always got away scot-free, but when a dude came with me, he also wanted to steal, so I did and finally got caught. I made myself the victim and shifted all the blame to him. I still feel really bad about it cause I was a big asshole. I broke my mom's most expensive drinking glass for nothing. When I was little I was just curious about a lot of things like any of you are. I used to watch comedy TV programs, and I find that breaking glass on someone's head is interesting. But of course I'm not some psycho, so I just searched the house for a glass that looks like the one from TV. After about an hour, I found a drinking glass, you know, for wine, that is neatly packed with a cool looking pattern. So I just take one glass and run to my driveway and throw the glass and broke it. My sister heard it and yelling my name, so I ran to my friend's house to hide and play. After about 2 hours, I went back and my sister asking me where I was, so I tell her I was at my friend's house and that's that. Because I throw the glass on an unusual spot, they never found the shards. Fast forward around 7 years later, we moved out from that house. When we were packing, my mom asked me if I know where her drinking glass were. I just shrugged it off and asked if it's important. She said she bought it when she was going on another country, and because the weight she can't bring it to her plane and send it instead, and there are lots of tax and paperwork. She said that the shipping cost alone is $100 and the glass is like 2 times it. I used to spit loogies on my walls, got caught, blamed my friend, then got him permanently banned from my house. Back when I was in like 6th, I had this weird habit of spitting loogies on my wall. Shit was gross. It would get all crusty and I would leave it on there for so long that it was like cemented on the walls. For some reason, my dad never noticed, until the very next year, and he was pissed. I was like 13, you know, so I was scared as fuck of my dad. At first he thought that it was just me who spit on my walls, and it really wasn't. I owned up to it and said it was just me. Well, somehow he came up with the idea that my friend, let's call him Bob, spit on my walls with me and somehow forced me to do it. I tried to tell him that it was just me who was doing it, which it was, but he thought I was just covering up for Bob. So my stupid 13-year-old self went along with it and I told him it was Bob too. He got so pissed. He yelled at me and screamed at the top of his lungs, "That motherfucker will never step foot in my house again." So for the next 2 years Bob would try to come to my house and I had to make up some excuse to tell him why he couldn't come. I eventually moved to a different town, but to this day, nobody knows the truth.